There's a grassroots movement underway in Detroit to stop black-on-black violence through the power of prayer. The group is called Pray the Violence Out of Detroit, and they're asking every woman in the city to join their efforts. The idea was inspired by an award-winning documentary about 3,000 women in Liberia who effectively prayed for an end to a bloody civil war. The film is titled Pray the Devil Back to Hell.
Money, greed, ethnicity,
absolute power.
There is nothing that should make people do what they did to the children of Liberia. The warlords who gave these boys guns and sent them off.
They just do anything because they had guns.
You go to bed saying, God, please. What do we do? I had a dream, and it was like a crazy dream. We decided to protest.
We wore the white, saying to people we were out for peace. Thousands of women, Muslim and Christian, were coming together,
calling for peace. These women had seen the worst, but they still had that vibrance for life.
And we said, well, if I should get killed, just remember me that I was fighting for peace.
We stepped out first and did the unimaginable. To send out a signal to the world that we, the Liberian women, we are tired of the killing of our people. We can do it again if we want to.
I want to hear now gratefully acknowledge the powerful voice of women.
Joining me now are two members of the local prayer movement. Amanda Johnson is the organizer of Pray the Violence Out of Detroit, and she's joined by Minister Essie Collins, who was also involved in the Liberian prayer movement. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the Liberian movement, which I think is absolutely fascinating. It's credited with having convinced two factions in a civil war to stop fighting. Talk to me about how that worked and how powerful that was.
Well, during the Labyrinth Civil War that lasted for over 14 years, it was a time of devastation for the Liberians. And imagine around Christmas time where mothers were shopping for their children and they had to run out of the streets because there was a brutal war that erupted in the country. And after so many years of trying to bring that war to an end that actually did not happen, that's when the women of Liberia gathered together in 2003 and they began to pray. Prior to that, we were staying home and praying because no one could get in the streets. If you did, you got killed. So we were home praying for our families and couldn't get out there. There was no food, there was no water. I'm a survivor of the Labyrinth Civil War, and I credit that to the Almighty God, and first of all to the prayers that were being offered, interceding for our people, that God himself would supernaturally intervene and bring that brutal civil war to an end. And that's exactly what happened. But one thing is that I came to this country in 1999. So prior to the movement, I was already here. But
I see.
Yes, before then, we were praying, but they didn't have the power to get out there because there was violence everywhere.
Right.
So,
and the prayers were in public. I mean, what changed was that women began praying publicly.
Absolutely, women began to pray publicly, and there were women from everywhere. It wasn't a particular group of women to say Christians or what have you. We just called on women, and God answered.
Yeah.
So because I know, I believe in the power of prayers, and I know that when God intervenes in any situation that you put before him, the result can be very good.
Yeah, a powerful example of that. And Amanda, that's what you hope to bring to Detroit with your group, this sort of
Yes.
coming together of women around the idea of prayer to stop the violence, both within the community and from outside it.
Yes. I have been disturbed for many years about escalating violence in our community, but the death of Anthony Tolson represented a particular heartbreak for me.
And this was the musician killed just a few days before
Christmas Eve.
Yeah, Christmas Eve, right?
Yes. I didn't know Anthony personally, but he was a music minister, a bass player for our congregation and the church that he was attending currently, that he had just left when he was carjacked and brutally murdered. A particular heartbreak.
Sure.
I met his mom, Allison, and she asked me to attend a news conference, and that really got this whole thing rolling for me. I was really moved by comments that Councilman James Tate and Andre Spivey made.
Yeah.
They gave a clarion call to action, and I was challenged, and I was praying during that news conference, and I was just asking God, what is my role in this? And he said, do what you're doing right now, pray.
Yeah.
And I thought about Essie because we are co-workers serving young children and their families.
Okay.
And we had just spoken, not days prior, about the prayer movement in Liberia. And then I contacted another friend who's here praying for us right now, Ollie Corder. And from there, a few other women who I felt would be committed to this.
Yeah. And what you're asking for is women across the city
Yes.
to embrace this and offer prayer.
Yes, and Liberia holds a special place in my heart because it was established by freed slaves.
Right.
So they're the true African Americans. They came from
Right.
Africa, they were American, and they returned
And they return.
home.
Right.
But Afrocentric thought is anchored on the matrix of motherhood. That's where our cultural roots are.
Sure.
I can give you a really good example. I was working with some colleagues at Timbuktu Academy a few weeks ago, and when I walked into the school, I was greeted with, "Good morning, Mama." And every woman that came into the building received that
greeted
same
that way,
greeting.
sure.
The implication is that we're all responsible for the community's children.
Right.
And
And what a
they
powerful
should be able to
message.
depend on all of us.
Yeah, and what a powerful message to impart at this time
Yes.
when our children are at such
Yes.
terrible risk.
Yeah.
And so, is there a planned sort of public face of this that you want to begin soon?
Yes, we met on New Year's Day and started to strategize. We have a dedicated phone line. People can call in and get updates from us. Each of us are trying to engage our own personal networks, our professional networks, using social media, any tools that are available to us.
Yeah.
And planning a viewing of Pray the Devil Back to Hell.
A public
A public
viewing of
viewing
it. Yeah.
where we can really try to engage even
So
more
people
women.
can see what happened
Yes.
in Liberia and what power it might have
Yes.
here. You know, I wonder at any point in the Liberian struggle, did you ever doubt that what you were doing could actually make a difference?
No,
No.
because when you are in a desperate situation and you have experienced the hand of God in your life, then anything else doesn't matter because you know that you had a testimony before, and if God did it before, He can do it again.
Yeah.
So we had no doubt that at the appointed time, God was going to supernaturally intervene and bring that brutal civil war to an end.
Did the sides in the Civil War, what was their reaction to what the women were doing? I mean, they couldn't have been happy about it.
Well, they had no choice because it was, I mean, God was the one we were crying out to, so they had no choice. But at the same time, the women, because I have left Liberia by then,
Right.
but the women were involved in all of the peace talks. They make sure that they were part of those various peace talks that were held in some parts of Africa. And their voices were being heard.
Right.
So because of that, they forced the rebels to know that, hey, we are mothers. We are the ones who carry these babies for 9 months, and we need you guys to stop killing them
Right.
and start putting guns into these babies' hands.
Right.
So that happened, and we were okay.
Yeah. We've got about 20 seconds left. How soon do you hope to get this up and running here in Detroit?
Dr. King said the urgency of now, now.
Okay.
And so we're engaging people. We have the dedicated phone line, email address set up, and in the process of trying to establish a website.
Yeah.
So
To get this going. Okay.
I'll share all that information.
Well, good luck to both of you, and
Thank you.
God help all of us in
Yes.
the city to benefit from this.
And I want to
Thank
say
you for
one thing
being
before
here.
we close, that
Sure,
what is
quickly.
going on right now is almost like a civil war. We may
It
not
is.
understand, but it looks like a civil war, and we
In
can,
Detroit,
God can intervene if we sincerely pray.
Yeah, thank you.